Ours is a new story, I think. The Antique Wireless Association, 50 years old, RCA, 100 years old, but yet it's the coming together of two organizations in the past few years in our attempt to document that history, which is really, I think, why I've been invited here today. We're going to move very quickly through a fairly lengthy slide presentation, which is going to be made available on both organizations' websites. Then the goal of this slideshow is really to introduce each organization to the other for the benefit of its membership. AWA's mission in RCA. Of course, RCA is a rich and compelling history filled with the pioneers of wireless. Over the years, RCA's primary goal has really been to share ideas and by documenting the thought and ideas underlying radio communication. And of course, its history is rich in milestones. Many of its members known internationally for their contributions. And over the years, AWA has maintained fairly close contact with RCA indirectly. Members of both have participated in each other's organizations. Many of the AWA members have been honored by RCA. Many of our members are RCA Fellows. More recently, just last year, we played a major role in helping RCA celebrate its centennial. And now we're in the process of preserving that history. So just who is AWA? And as I said, we're moving fairly quickly here. You can read about this on the website. 1940s radio was practically speaking only about 40 years old, and to many of that era it was really just about 20 years old. Three people, Bruce Kelly, Link Kundal, and George Batterson, got interested in early radio and started collecting equipment. By the late 40s they were making presentations at ham clubs, and in 1952 they founded the AWA. Located in Bruce Kelly's barn, this is quite a barn filled with a lot of old equipment. 1975, we jump a bit in the story, AWA finally relocated to a historic building in East Bloomfield, New York. A lot of hard work later, those displays were open to the public. AWA has always been dedicated as a public resource for the collection and the documentation of wireless history. Beginning in 2007, we ourselves undertook a major reorganization. New director was appointed, we reconstituted the board of directors, we looked forward to the building of a new museum complex, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, and in the last couple of years we've gone digital collections, and we are now on YouTube, thanks to Roy and his contributions. We view ourselves as the primary organization dedicated to preserving the historic relics and documentation of radio's history. This is especially important in light of the fact that the Smithsonian, the Ford Museum, Chicago's Museum of Science and Industry have all closed their communications exhibits. And we continue to be dedicated towards the public access to the story of wireless. That 1837 Academy building featured a number of exhibit rooms dedicated to various eras in wireless, starting in the turn of the century and running up until about the 1970s. Our own collection, although it does go more current, the exhibitry sort of ends in the 1970s. In the document you can take a closer look at some of these pictures. As some of you may remember last year, we do have a number of Edwin Armstrong items in the collection, including his FM broadcast transmitter and a number of other things. We even have that specific radio in the Armstrong photograph there, and our collection comes up to today with the beginnings of cellular, handheld cellular phone technology. Today we're looking forward. We're looking forward to a 3-building campus. The campus will include a major museum, an education resource center and library, and a storage, maintenance, and repair workshop. The City of East Bloomfield and the State of New York are firmly behind this. We have, as part of that reorganization I mentioned, our new director has ties to MIT, and he is significantly helping us find the funding and the organizational tools to pull this off. Just in the past few years, We've opened the storage facility, which is up in the upper left there, storage facility and workshop, and we dedicated the museum, and you can see it in the lower right here. The museum is named after Max Bodmer, who pioneered the Telstar satellite, and those are the original tubes from the communications inside that satellite and the original model from the lab. As I said, we're moving forward in a major effort to upgrade and modernize. We are digitally archiving things. We're going to move into environmentally controlled storage facilities. There's a tremendous amount of work that's going on right now. The library itself has a small section available for display of rotating exhibits, but really it's a resource. 18,000 books, 95 boxes from RCA Corporation, original recordings, just a wealth of research that can be done in this new facility. This is a picture of what our new museum will look like. It's designed to be appealing. As you see from the front, it's modeled after a radio. That's the actual building. The radio that you saw will go on the front. And this museum is significant with 25,000 artifacts, 150,000 tubes. Today, in our limited facilities, we're already getting 2,000 visitors annually and helping out on 100 research projects each year from around the world. The new museum, and some of this was featured last year, so I'm not going to go into this in great depth today, but the new museum has a broad scope intended, but it's going to be a modern museum with hands-on exhibits, a working radio station, theater, projection rooms, etc. Since 1960, we've been trying to document the history, not just collect the history. The old name for the AWA Journal is originally called the Old Timers Bulletin, or OTB. We've had an annual conference since 1963, and in 1971 we started establishing awards, and important among them is the Harry Houck Award for Preservation. Houck, of course, was Armstrong's longtime assistant and collaborator. Our conference, as you can see from these past two pages, has a wide variety of offerings, everything from speaker programs to demonstrations, exhibits. There's a book display and a flea market as well. I think the important thing to note here is that it's a place to come together and share the history. It's for people who like writing to come and meet other authors, people who like restoring to learn about that and share their knowledge, people who like collecting to bring those items for display. Our people are involved in many of the major organizations around the world. Principally, of course, the IEEE, the Museum of Broadcast Communications, the largest collector clubs in the country, as well as a growing role of Dayton and Quarter Century Wireless. Recently, we've been asked to contribute articles to the International Scientific Instrument Society. There's an article in process there, and we have an ongoing presence at the British Vintage Wireless Society. Just this past year, our work regarding the IEEE Edison Medal was picked up by the IEEE and asked to be included on the Global History Network's website. 2 years ago, we celebrated at the New York Historical Society the 150th anniversary of the Atlantic Cable with a major exhibit and presentations about the cable and Lord Kelvin. Many of our members are currently publishing a number of books, and this is a key bridge to the membership at RCA because we'd like to document your history. We'd like your people to contribute either by telling us your stories, bringing us your documentation, or getting a start on a book that tells your background, your contribution, and we'll help you edit it and help you get it to press. Many of our members operate independent websites that are famous in their areas. These and the examples happen to be telegraphy because it's an area I'm more familiar with, but these are considered by many to be the websites to go to. AWA offers a number of activities supporting an ongoing involvement with the amateur operator. We have several contests throughout the year, and we do go to Dayton. At the AWA Museum, we just finished restoring the James Milne 1930 station, and our new museum will have a number of period transmitters and receivers that can be operated by guests. So what's our relationship with RCA? We view ourselves as the largest international gathering of historians and collectors. You are the organization from which many of the key inventors came. We want to document your history. Your documents were brought over just this past summer. These are your documents here in their own dedicated storage facility. Some of your things have been published. Some of the things maybe your members haven't seen before, like the initial secretary's books with Fessenden and Armstrong. Last year we presented at the conference. Many of you may have seen that. And just in August of this year, we recognized RCA's contributions by awarding our Harry Haupt Award for Historical Preservation to 3 of your members who controlled and kept and preserved your documentation of the early years of radio. And your people came out to our conference and shared a wonderful 3 days meeting us, seeing our museum. Carol Perry was our keynote speaker at our conference. So what's our vision for the future? We want to have a shared vision. It's a vision that preserves the milestones in electronics history. It's a vision that envisions, that allows us to work with you to document those milestones as we both look to the future and recognize that cellular, digital technologies haven't really been documented. But many of those people have come through RCA. A joint spirit, a joint preservation, fostering the spirit of good fellowship and the free interchange of ideas. And if there was one person in particular that we saw who kind of symbolized this, it was your very own Carol Perry. And those are her words, wowie kazowie. That is exactly what she said when we took this picture. And this had to, I just felt this had to go into our presentation. So as I close, I just want to say thank you to all the members of AWA and RCA who participated in helping pull this together. And this is available on the website for your detailed reading, and it can be reprinted and used to educate us in the membership. There are hard copies available today that you can take with you. And with that, we'll close.